Well, today we are in the home of Joan Coughlan, Joan Elliott, nee Elliott, and she will very kindly bring us some of the tales and wonderful deeds of her past. So thank you, Joan, for talking to us today. So whatever you would like to tell us, beginning perhaps with your childhood, your family, your siblings.
My name is Joan Elliott Coughlan, the youngest member of a family of 8, born to Patrick and Elizabeth Elliott of the Bullring, Summerhill, County Meath. There were 8 children in our family, 4 boys and 4 girls. Life was very simple when I was a child. I played baby house, hopscotch, rounders. We usually dressed our dolls with homemade clothes for them. In summertime, I would go with my sister to pick mushrooms in the fields and gather wild flowers. With my brothers, I used to play marbles. I suppose they call them toys. We had whipping tops as well. You would see now, you don't see now them at all, but you would have to have a cement pad so that when you whipped the top, it was spin. My father was a small farmer and a tailor. In those days, round this part of Meath was the land of gentry, and my dad had the contract of making all the suits for clothes for the lord and ladies and their staff, as well as the neighbours. The gentry in those days was Captain Fowler, Major Winters, Colonel Polton and Lord Langford. As well as all the neighbours. My mother had a great interest in fowl. She reared turkeys, ducks and kept White Wyandotte Station, which meant she would be setting up eggs. People would have hatching hens and buy them in order to have a clutch of chickens. After each evening the rosary was said. Each one said their decades in turn. After the rosary and trimming in the summertime, it was out to play. My mother was a native of Manalphy. She was Elizabeth Kelly and one of a family of 9. Every Sunday afternoon my mother and father would take us on the pony and trap to visit our grandmother and grandfather. While there, we the children would be allowed out in the garden and help ourselves to all kinds of fruit. In 1926, my eldest sister Mary left for Australia to join the Sisters of Mary in Townsville, Queensland, Australia, along with 35 more girls. That was a sad day for my parents and the rest of the family. In 1936, my sister Bridie joined my sister Mary, who was then Sister Virgilius. For me, the day Bridie left home was one of the saddest days in my life. I idolized her. She made my dresses and knitted all my jumpers, cardigans. She kept me in great style. Imagine we never saw them again till 1963. That was the most memorable day in our lives for the Elliott family. 36 family, relations and friends gathered at the airport to welcome them home. My mother, who was then 86 years of age, was present to receive her 2 daughters after all those years. My school days in Langton. At the age of 5, I started school. My 2 sisters brought me with them. My teachers was Miss Sheeran. My first days were spent playing with plasticine on the slate. After a while we got our jotters and pencils to begin to write our ABC, and at the early age we knew of pieces of poetry. Jack and Jill went up the hill, etc. Mrs. Gorty was principal teacher, and she taught third class and upwards. I had lots of pals in my class. In my day, the girls who were in one school and the boys was in the adjoining school. The school was about a mile from where I lived, and in the winter time my dad took me to school on the pony and trap, and came for us after school. Spring, summer and winter we went along with several more children from around here and used to cross the fields to school. On our way home we used to feast ourselves in September on nuts and apples and blackberry. And on the day we would get our summer holidays, we would be treated to a picnic on the Dale Hill. It comprised of lemonade and biscuits. We would have competitions in racing and two-legged race and the sack race, etc. All the girls who could sing were in the church choir, and Mrs. Gorty played the organ. Dangan in school days, during our school days, the Eucharistic Congress was held in 1932 in the Free East Park in Dublin. My dad hired a car and took us to the Congress. That certainly was a wonderful experience, a day to remember for the rest of our lives. We learned our national history at school, but it was my dad who told us all the local history. He was a native of the parish, and a boy of 14, he helped his dad in Longford Castle, making clothes for the staff and the new curtains and trays for the coming of the Empress Elizabeth of Austria. He remembers a special train coming from Dublin to Kilcock station. The red carpet had been laid down to lead her to the carriage. The Austrian flag was flown at the station, also the Irish flag with the inscription, "Erin Cork Little welcomed the Empress and arch with Céad Míle Fáilte." Snow was lying on the ground, and it was as she was arriving in Summerhill, but this did not stop hundreds of country people lined the roads to wave for her and cheer her. The year was 1880. It was for fox hunting that the Empress came to Summerhill. She enjoyed sports and mud. She was out every day on horseback. In our parish, the reigns of Downey Castle, the gateway is beyond the church, and the name was the Duke of Wellington. His statue is overlooking the town of Trim. There are two, what's the word?
Obelisk.
Said to be,
Obelisk.
still to be seen. They were built as a landmark for Donegal Castle. The two big events during our school days, that was the two, was firstly our first Holy Communion Day, and then our confirmation big day. For both occasions we were dressed in white dresses and veils. The transport we used was with the old reliable Napoleon trap to take us to the church. Only the priests, teachers and doctors had motor cars in the parish. There was a shop close to the school known as Kitty Bull's. There, if we were fortunate to have a penny, we would get great value, as there were 10 bullseyes for the penny. Have I enough?
No, please, this is brilliant. Please.
Well, Trim is 6 miles from here. I lived where I lived. And every morning I rode my bicycle to school there. And during the cold and even during the cold winter, there were 12 of us from the district, and we all met at Coakley's Cross each morning and cycled all together. In those days, there were very few cars on the road, so there was no danger. There was a teacher for all different subjects. Our recreation time was spent playing camogie. We had a great team and won many matches against the other schools in the county. I won a scholarship for a month to the Irish College in Randolph, County Donegal, where there I met many new friends from all parts of the north. There were 6 girls in the house, and where I stayed, 2 from Meath and 4 from Armagh. In the house next to us there were 4 boys. Among them were the 2 Fee's brothers from Crossmolina. Thomas, who later became Cardinal of Fee. Patrick became a doctor. Every evening the boys and girls would walk up to the college for a céilí. And our teacher was Father O'Dowd. He was a renowned Irish speaker, and he translated the Bible into the Irish College. Every summer before we got our holidays, we had an excursion by train for a day to Bray, led by teachers. There was all the fun of the fair there. I loved the playing on the strand, and most of all, the bumping cars. My favourite dancing day, the old church in Tankin was converted. The old church in Tankin was converted into a recreation hall. There we learned our céilí dancing and our ballroom dancing. We used to compete in the Navan Fest, and on 2 occasions we won the competition for the 16-hand reel, and we were presented with medals. Apart from our own house, there were 2 other houses. We used to have house dances, and we used to call them holies in the kitchen. Every bank holiday there was a dance in Foxes, and all the Ellies, the Bradys and Tracy would assemble there and in their parlour. Joe Murray played the accordion and Mac Brady played the banjo. Waltzes and half sets were danced. Paddy Brady sang Teddy O'Neill. Matt sang The Man on the Flying Trapeze. And the highlight of the night would be my brother singing The 2 Jews. And then he would recite the name of the recitation as I said, yes, absolutely. That's it. There was a dance hall in Rockmellane known as the Loft. Crowds from all over the country came to dance there, despite the fact that the conditions was very crude. But yet we all enjoyed the dances there. On the Thursday night, it was what was known as the 4-penny hop. Then there was an annual nurses' dance. That was the big, so in those days, the big event of the year. During the year, the footballers had dances to raise money, and the bands comprised of a few local fellas playing the accordion and drums. During my dancing days in Dangan Hall and the Loft, we had local boyfriends who would dance with us all night. A girl who would be left sitting would be known as the wallflower. In later years there was a carnival in Summerhill. Every year for a number of years there were all the big bands in Ireland, engaged to play at the dances. So every night the marquee would be packed. It was a voluntary parish committee that ran the carnival each year to raise money to repair our church. When the debt was paid, there was no need for any more carnival. It was at a dance in the town hall in Edenderry that I met my husband, John Coughlan. During our courtship, we attended all the big dances in the hall. Amen.
Well, that's an absolutely brilliant recall. Thank you so much. On behalf of...
There's been some bits of mistakes.
Oh, not a bit. On behalf of future generations, thank you. That was brilliant. But can I, if you don't mind, just to go back to your parents, they lived to be...
Now come here, louder, what?
Your parents.
Yeah.
You mentioned your mum at one stage was 85.
Yeah.
So she lived to be a good age as well.
She died at 87.
87. And your dad?
84.
So they both lived in those days, that they were quite old in those days.
Yeah.
Very old, in fact.
Yeah.
And they had good health right to the end, had they? They were in good health.
When my father died, my mother got a slight stroke. Now she wasn't too invalided, so but she lived grand then on. That was the 1950. My dad died, and then she died in 1964.
Right, 64.
So it was good.
Absolutely. Do you want to recall I know you mentioned about your sisters who were nuns, who went to Queensland. Do you want to tell us about, and your brother who sang, do you want to tell us about any of the rest of your siblings? Just briefly. Did they live to be good ages?
Not one that came up to the years, right?
Do you want to tell us, would you like to tell us what age you are?
What age I am?
Yeah.
No bother. I'm 96, and if God spares me to the 6th of October, I'm 97. God spares me.
Well, congratulations on all those previous years. That's incredible. Well done. And you're so sharp and so physically fit as well. You're brilliant.
I'm alive.
Indeed. But did all of your siblings live to be reasonably good ages?
Yeah.
Okay.
We say one died at 78 and another died at... There was one here, I lost John, one of my brothers, and my sister. And that was 1996, 1997 and 1998.
Okay.
I lost 3.
Wow. All your brothers,
No,
are they?
well, John and my two.
Right. You mentioned earlier the Eucharistic Congress and how important that. Is there anything in particular that stands out in your mind about that event?
John McCormick singing. But what's this he sang? Oh.
Panis and Angelicus, I think, was one. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
It was a huge occasion. How many people would you think attended? A huge crowd.
But the park was packed.
Right. Major event, and many people from Summerhill, I'm sure, attended.
Well, you see, for the like of us, Dublin now was a bit far away, and only my dad hired a car to get there.
Yeah.
It was a big job to cycle to the park.
Of course.
And there was no other way.
And the roads wouldn't be very good in those days, were they? Plenty of potholes.
Oh, plenty of potholes. But when you look back, things were very crude.
Okay.
And of course, definitely for me, the highlight was the rural electrification.
Yes. And tell us how that changed your life. What was so important about it?
Bless the church. Number one, they to the goodbye to the old lamps.
Yeah.
Have to be filled every night with paraffin oil, and the globes clean.
Yeah.
So and then everywhere, and then of course when people got the electric cookers and the electric all the various things now, the fridges and sure it's all electric now compared with those days that we had none of that.
I think your husband was an electrician, am I right?
Correct.
Do you want to tell us anything about him?
I have a big long story of his like of retirement that length about John.
Of course. So he did he live to be a good age, or?
No, he died in 80. No, he died at the age of 76.
Oh.
Post-Atlantic.
Right.
No cure, though. Thank God that we've come a long way for nowadays.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's probably you've more. You said you've written quite a bit about your husband. Is that right? Is there any?
I haven't written.
Oh no, you have it in your mind, have you?
Oh, yeah.
Is there any particular story you'd like to share with us about that time?
Well, yeah, the town, the community centre was opened, and the dances then that were held there, they were grand too. Do you know now what I mean? Like
of course.
That was. I could still dance a little bit, but that was a great day, like in Summerhill, and the president went down to open it. It's that, of course, there's a photos of all that. That's modern history.
Yes. Yes. That was 1980, September 1980. Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
And just other places that you lived. Did you live anywhere other?
No.
But you may have travelled a little, did you?
I was in Australia twice.
Oh, brilliant.
I was in Rome. I was in Lourdes 21 times. And I was in Germany 4 times.
Wow.
Because I had a nephew there.
Right. Well, what part of Germany was that? It doesn't matter.
I'd have to get a book to see his address.
No, that's fine. Just going back to your childhood, is there any story that stands out as in your childhood days, maybe to do with Christmas or to do with your parents or any big event, anything special that stands out in your mind?
Well, you see, I told you, about the Congress.
Yeah.
Well, it said that was,
It was
to
indeed.
me, like a big event, to get to Dublin. Well,
Do you recall Christmas when you were a child?
with Christmas Day, we'd all get together in the kitchen. Yeah,
On Christmas Day?
Christmas Day.
In this house?
Yeah,
In this house?
in the kitchen. And of course, Mother being into fowl reared the turkey that we had.
Yes.
That
So
we
all
had
the
for our
family,
dinner, what?
all the family would be together,
Yeah.
and that happened for many years that you were all together. As
For a good number now, we tend to start to get married.
of course, but your mum and dad were still
Yeah.
alive and all of that,
Oh,
so
yeah.
the family were united for many.
I just, sure, I put up